Minasan, okarinasai. Today, a very petite lady who's also a very lovable big sister. And sticking with the trend of girls I'm covering this month, this angel has a ridiculous resume. Ayana Taketatsu, born June 23rd, 1989 in Saitama, currently affiliated with the Link Plan Agency. She attended Nihon Narration Engi Kenkyujo, a voice acting training school, before becoming affiliated with their management company. In 2008, at 19 years old, she made her debut in arguably the most degenerate anime ever, Kiss Sis, the OVA version, as the older sister Ako. Then in 2009 she had some small things, Manaka Akamiya in Sasameki Koto, and Yua in the show Needless. Then the lead of Vanilla in Yume Iro Patissieri, cute design, and then already arguably having her most iconic role, Azusa Nakano in K-On! Also performing in live action sometimes with her castmates as Hogaku Tea Time. In 2010 her career fully kicks off, voicing 10 or more characters basically every year from here on out. Characters like Kirino Kosaka in Oreimo. Also get used to this little sister tsundere typecasting. Due to Ayachi's vocal tone and her acting skills, she will be doing this type of character very often. She is not limited to this though, as she does voice other character types, like Nozomi Kiriya in Mayoi Neko Overrun. And there's also Miria Marigold Mackenzie in Jewel Pet Twinkle, Ayumi Takahara in The World God Only Knows, Simone Aragon in Stardiver, and Alice Marisato in High School of the Dead. In 2011 we'll start off with Sugumi in Guilty Crown, great show, extremely depressing, Eclair Martinozzi in Dog Days, Asabi Inoue in Bento, Shadows to Aimi singing the opening, Mint Clark in Rio Rainbow Gate, and Miharu Shimizu in Baka and Test. 2012 is a very, very good year for her, starting off with Rinka Kunitachi in Nakaimo. There's also Aldra in Queen's Blade Rebellion, Minami Aihara in Asetica of a Rogue Hero, Shobu in Pokemon Black and White, also voicing Bianca in a short net animation to promote the sequel games. Then two pretty iconic roles of hers, Sugaha Kirigaya, aka Lifa in Sword Art Online, and then Kanako Tojo in High School DD. I'm like 90% sure this is how she met fellow Seiyu Yuki Kaji, which will become very relevant later on. Ayane made her debut as a singer this year as well, with her song Symphonia Symphonia. Not long after was her second single, No Kuni no Alice. Lastly, her first photo book, Ayana. Creative name. 2013 is actually one of her smallest years in terms of anime, most of which being new seasons of older shows for her, but she did have a few new things to mention. Sakura Hagiwara in the wrestling show Wanna Be the Strongest in the World, Kana Hazamaya in a certain scientific railgun second season, and typecasted as Tsundere Yumoto Kotori Itsuka in Date Alive. The last role to mention is her voicing Kaede in the Assassination Classroom's Jump Festa special, a role she would not reprise when the show fully started to air in 2015. Instead, Kaede was voiced by the very lovely Aya Suzaki. Not sure why they didn't just keep Ayana, but I can't complain about hearing Miss Suzaki's voice. Also, they're both named Aya, so similar enough. Other things that happened this year include her second photo book, Taketatsu, in Australia. And a pretty big step in her career, she joined fellow tiny legendary Seiyu Aoyuki to form a singing duo called Petite Milady. I'm sure the name is obvious to most, but in case you don't know, petite means small in French. And both Seiyu are under 5 feet. The second half of the name, however, Milady, usually refers to someone of nobility or power, or like someone who is a proper, polite woman. And these two are, well, very loud, silly, and borderline crazy people. So at least half of their name is correct. Anyway, they debuted with the song Kagami no Dualism, an opening for Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal. Over the next 6 years, the girls will release 5 albums, 1 best of album, 9 official singles, and 3 limited time singles. I won't get into detail on those since I covered this group already in my first Seiyu Units video. And our last thing for this year, 2 new songs, Jiku Tours and Weekend Cinderella, and then her first album, Apple Symphony. Moving on to 2014, she voiced Ariel Albus in The Pilot's Love Song, Mamitas in Space Dandy, and Momoko in Momo-Kyun Sword. Nothing too big this year, but she did have her third photo book, Ayana in Fairy Tales, and her fourth as well, Ayachi-san in Italy. Petite Milady had a new album and 2 new singles. Then she herself also had 2 new singles, Wonderful World and then Kajiri Kake no Ringo, which is her first Annie song as a solo act, the opening for Denkiai no Honya-san, where she also voiced one of the lead characters named Fu Girl. And there's also her second album, Color Serenata. Next is 2015, Petite Milady had a regular album, a best of, and 2 new singles. Then by herself, her song Little Lionheart, the ending of Lance and Mask, where she voiced Ho Yuiphone. Other characters include Fam Thi Tram in Asterisk War, Yamato in Kantai Collection, Satsuki Ranjo in World Break Aria, Arisu Shimada in the Girls und Panzer movie, and Sachiko Koshimizu in Idolmaster Cinderella Girls. 2016 was her 5th photo book, Flower Garden. With her other petite lady, they had a new single and a new album. Then Ayana also had a new album called Lyrical Concerto. She also had 2 new singles, Miss Revolutionist and Hey Calorie Queen, the ending for Dagashi Kashi, where she also voiced the very lovely and crazy Hotaru Shidere. She also had Erika in the newer Berserk animation, yikes, and the only other role worth mentioning is Hikari in Divine Gate, less than mid-show with a banger opening. Also, Hikari is my favorite Japanese name, my favorite name in general actually. And you know what, I'll also mention Earth-chan in Concrete Revolutio, which she actually began voicing back in 2015. 2017, she had Kei Karuizawa in Classroom of the Elite, Kasumi Kagami in Sugomomo, and Yui Kashi in My First Girlfriend is a Gal. Then Denko Busujima in Akiba's Trip, singing the 10th ending with Aoyuki. The 2 of them also had a new album. Aichi herself had a best of album, Apple Fueli. Fui? She really likes French words, and apples apparently. However, there was no new music, but another photo book, this one technically being a grab your book. Ayana Holiday in Hawaii, one of her favorite places. 2018, some good stuff. Yuzu Aihara in the Yuri anime Citrus, Yamaneko Arthur in Million Arthur, Koizumi in Miss Koizumi Loves Ramen Noodles, Erida Cassiopeia in the new season of Saint Seiya, and Christina in Master of Ragnarok. Then she had the crazy lady Pipimi in episode 2 of Pop Team Epic, and she even had her tokusatsu debut with Ghosh Ru Meadow in the Sentai series Lupin Ranger vs. Pot Ranger for half of a season and its movie. There's also her 7th and I believe most recent photo book, Ishikara Hajimaru Monogatari. Lastly, with Petite Milady, she had herself a new album and 3 new singles, and as a solo lady, she had her song Oh My Sugar Feeling, the opening for Dakashi Kashi's 2nd season, which is a song I actually highly recommend. It's really fun to listen to. 2019, a very big, important year for her. Let's start off with music. Ayana had her last song released for a while, her 11th single, Innocent Notes, the opening for Grimm's Notes. Anime include Minako Yorihara in the new version of Boogie Pop Phantom, Minamine in How Clumsy You Are, Miss Ueno, Eremi Mushibami in Season 2 of Kakegururi, Sayuki Tokiharu in Hensky, Chisato Yonamine in Magical Girl Spec Ops, and the very popular Nino Nakano in the Quintessential Quintuplets. Now, with her Seiyu unit, this was the year the girls actually stopped their activities. It's not labeled as a disbandment, but more so a hiatus. Maybe it originally wasn't going to be for so long, but then 2020 happened, and now 3-ish years later, we're only now finally recovering from it. I'd like to think that they'll be back at some point, but who knows right now, especially because Ayana will have a life-changing event in 2022. We'll get there in a minute though. To foreshadow that a little more, still in 2019, she announced her marriage to fellow legendary Seiyu Yuki Kaji, the very definition of a power couple. In 2020, we'll begin with Federica in Bofuri, then Alina Gray in Magia Record, Risia in Our Last Crusade, Mimi Alpakis in Peter Grill and the Philosopher's Time. That's definitely a show. There is also Ami Asai in Uzaki-chan Wants to Hang Out, and oh boy, here we go. Erga Kinesis de Rascarea in Nobilis. I can barely pronounce names as it is. What the hell even was that? You're Japanese, just give me a first and a last name, please. Anyway, we're moving on to 2021. She had the roles of Reona Kisaragi in Full Dive, Rika Hoshizaki in Girlfriend, Nagisa Natsunagi in The Detective Is Already Dead, Kyoka Nishino in Megaton Musashi, and there's also Rhyme in the anime version of the game The World Ends With You. Then her most recent album, Melly Mellow, but the 2 mellows are spelled differently. 2022 is one of her biggest years in terms of roles and life events, though 50% of her roles are just new seasons of old things. But new stuff includes the Wuv Wuv Moonbeam manager in Akiba Maid War, an actual really fun, silly show. There's also Selena Gilbert in I'm the Villainess, So I'm Taming the Final Boss, Amelia Irving in Love Flops, Immortal Kamila in Miss Kuroitsu from the Monster Development Department, and Nagaho Mori in the Idol Busho movie. Then 2 pretty big shows, Bombietta Bastardine in the new season of Bleach, great name, and she was Licia in Pokemon Journeys. Lastly, Karen Kamiya in the borderline hentai show World's End Harem. There was also a celebratory song she released, not technically a single, but it was called Endless Symphony. Now for that life-changing event I mentioned a couple minutes ago, her and her husband Yuki had themselves a child right at the end of the year. Congratulations to them. Don't be surprised if you hear that child in anime 14 to 16 years from now. Who knows, maybe even earlier than that. 2023, this year so far, she's had her first single in about 4 years, Ashita no Katachi, the opening for The Tale of the Outcasts, where she also voiced Wisteria. She is currently voicing Tamao Taira in Kubo Won't Let Me Be Invisible, Henri in The Legendary Hero Is Dead, and Kaede Kazuma in I Got a Cheat Skill in Another World and Became Unrivaled in the Real World too. Lots of familiar faces in that show, including the lady I covered last time, Rina Hidaka. Next month, she'll be voicing Yume in The Masterful Cat is Depressed Again Today. Man, these anime titles literally never cease to amaze me. Throughout the rest of the year, she'll have new seasons of Bofuri, Classroom of the Elite, Girlfriend, and the Quintuplets. Then at some point in the future, with no confirmed date yet, she'll have new seasons of Date Alive and The Detective is Already Dead. So in that main section I did go over all of the anime openings that she's sang with her solo career, but she has some other music credits too. Usually with other main cast members, in shows like High School DD, The Quintuplets, Idolmaster, Love Flops, Wanna Be the Strongest, Yoru Yuri, Full Dive, Date Alive, and of course K-On!, just to name a few, singing in around 25 different shows. Naturally, over the years, she has had small roles or one-episode characters in quite a few shows, but honestly nothing noteworthy. All the good or decent shows she's in, she already has a relevant character. So let's move on to the next part. Foreign dubbings include just a small amount, again nothing really of note, an American anthology series called Genius, and a movie called Jexy. But she is in the second Angry Birds movie. Yay. Onto video games, she's actually in the Revue Starlight game as Misora Kano. She did technically portray this character in a short-net animation back in 2019, but not in the main series. I don't think she's ever performed live as her, not in any of the main concerts or stage plays at least. Then there's the game versions of anime she's in like Idolmaster, Oreimo, Magia Record, Million Arthur, Bleach, High School DD, K-On!, and 5 or so SAO games. Then the usuals, Dragalia Lost and Arknights. More mainstream games include Another Eden, Call of Duty Black Ops 2, Shin Megami Tensei 5, Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, World of Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest Heroes 2, Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth, Super Danganronpa 2, Drakengard 3, Persona 5 Arena, and Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance. Damn, that's a lot of good stuff. A few more to mention are some mobile Gundam games, like phone games, not Mobile Suit Gundam, a PS3 Macross game, and the first game she ever voiced in, A Legend of Heroes, and also its many sequels. As for concerts, weirdly enough I've never seen her at Animax, not even with Petite Milady, but she has been at Anisama many times. With K-On! In 2019, Petite Milady twice, doing a sweet crossover with Yui Kaori, singing the Lucky Star opening in 2016, and she's also been there as a solo act as well in 2018, doing a little crossover with Fauna, singing the Dragon Maid opening while Ayana just kind of ate dinner. That same year she was in the music video for the yearly theme song as well. Also weird that she hasn't been at any lives for the Idol series she's in, like Revue Starlight, Idolmaster, or Idol Busho. Also haven't seen her at many events in general in Japan, but she has had plenty of solo things. I guess that's what she prefers. Maybe she'd rather have all eyes on her than some big ensemble live with a group or something. Now we are finally onto the fun facts, as always just a few since I've already talked a lot about her and her epic career. She is 151 centimeters or 4'11". On the socials, she's on the gram, a regular Twitter, along with a staff Twitter and also a YouTube channel which is mostly for her music, but over the last year she's done some variety stuff too. Ayana has also been featured on the Cross Sing YouTube channel singing a cover of Irony, not an anime song but originally sang by pop duo Claris. And she has a radio show with fellow seiyuu Manami Numakura, Taketatsu and Numakura no Hatsuraji since 2017. They've done a lot of cool things on their little program. You can find a lot of it subbed here on the tube. There are other radios she's featured on, like the Tokyo Dolls radio and even her own Himitsu no radio, but the one with Numakura was her main one, and I'm not sure if it's still ongoing. Her hobbies include karaoke, reading, shopping, tennis, bingo, origami, eating snacks, and she can play the guitar very well. She is a fan of Dragon Ball, who isn't, but her favorite character is actually Piccolo. Great choice. Alright, let's not get too weird about this one, but she is one of the few seiyuu that actually has her 3 sizes listed, with her bust being at 88 centimeters, considerably large, especially for someone of her size. So yeah, go enjoy those photo books. And shoutouts to her husband, lucky man. Speaking of, over the years her and her hubby have worked in a few shows together, from as early as 2010 with Stardiver. I did mention earlier that 2012's High School DD is where I think they fully connected, mostly because of them both being in the main cast and interacting together a lot. But some other shows they are both in are Pokemon Black and White, Guilty Crown, and Space Dandy. I usually mention how good some say are at English, but when it comes to Ayana, to put it nicely, she is not good at English. It's actually really funny seeing her pronounce some English words completely wrong. One example being the word college, and she would say collegi. She also claims to not be good at cooking, but she has been using the CookPad Live app to increase her skills. She is good at winking though, and is very good friends with fellow quintuplet Ayane Sakura, who despite being 5 years younger than her, Ayana sees Sakura as kind of an older sister. The penultimate fact is that the anime tracking website MyAnimeList has a ranking of the most popular people on the website, including seiyuu of all languages, authors, and musical people. Out of all of these people, Ayana just misses out on the top 50, being at rank 55. And lastly, shout out to that time she did a commercial for McDonald's trying to get everyone to try out the new Bacon Big Mac. With that, we have reached the ending. As with all the ladies I've covered this month, Ayana really has a wicked impressive resume. And it's actually crazy how many shows she had last year while being pregnant. Kudos to her for always being such a hard worker. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed and learned something new. Please join me in the next one, arguably the most iconic lady in the Love Live franchise. I look forward to seeing you there.